Welcome to my first YouTube video. Over time I will be putting forward my views on the political agenda of the government in New Zealand. One of my future topics will be global warming. And please note that I did not mention climate change, its current title, but more on that later. My first subject will be on the place of socialism and its impact in our society. First, socialism does not work. I cannot think of any country where it has been successfully implemented. Where it has been tried, and it has failed, the only way to return the country to financial stability is through capitalist policies. The proponents of socialism always use emotion to sell their policies. The wealth gap is too high. The earnings of the top 10% are disproportionately high compared with the bottom 50%. The rich need to pay their fair share of tax, which can then be redistributed to the poorer citizens, so reducing inequality. Why should the top 1% have so much, while the bottom 20% are literally begging in the streets just to survive? What we need is to redistribute the wealth, so that we all have more equal outcomes. Unfortunately, humans are not equal. Every single one of us is unique, has unique abilities and skills, plus unique desires. The outcomes will never be equal. Therefore, the only way to achieve this utopian outcome is by governmental force, by someone at the top deciding how much you should receive and who should supply the money. This is fine so long as the money doesn't run out. Unfortunately, it always does. I predict that this is about to happen in China, and the current system there will fail. The recent demonstrations in Hong Kong will only help to bring about this failure. As Maggie Thatcher once said, the problem with socialism and socialists is they always run out of other people's money. Now some rather incontrovertible facts. Socialism has been tried and failed throughout the 19th and 20th centuries in many and varied countries. These include, but are not limited to, Britain after World War II, India after independence, and much of Latin America and Africa. In all these cases, economic ruin was the result. Worse still, where it was attempted in Russia, the USSR, North Korea and Cambodia, it was not only responsible for economic ruin, but also the deaths of many millions of dissenters. This is because all humans are unique, and to achieve true socialism, it requires all humans to be made equal. This is not possible without force, and eventually there will always be a pushback from the populace. Socialism was even tried in the very early American settlements. They were established in such places as Jamestown in the early 1600s. The settlers found incredibly fertile soils, plenty of game to hunt, and seafood to catch, but still it did not succeed. All because of socialism. There was no reason to work. The settlements were founded on a communal philosophy, where all was owned by all, and the results were distributed to all. Accordingly, all received the same, without the need for similar input. So why work? Nearly 2/3 of the first settlers were dead within 6 months. Fortunately, it was realized that private property rights were important, and that has formed the basis of American society. In the UK, after the Second World War, the Clement Attlee government decided that a socialist agenda was the way to go. They nationalised most of the larger industries and services. These included steel, automobiles and the railways, all of which finally failed. The reason being is that the philosophy behind the operating of these industries was not serving the customer, but satisfying the masters, or in these cases the government. It was the government who decided who should be employed, what should be manufactured, and what should be charged for that product or service. All this without any regard to the market forces or what the customer wants. Why, oh why, is the British Labour Party looking at going down this track again under their socialist leader Corbyn? It took the arrival of Maggie Thatcher to fix the UK economy. The nationalised industries were privatised and private property rights enhanced. The economy flourished. I now turn to more recent attempts. Zimbabwe, once a grain and food exporter, but now thanks to socialism, a food importer. North Korea, just look over the border to South Korea and see the difference. Finally, the classic example, East and West Berlin. Need I say more? When you are young, you are likely to be more favourably inclined towards socialism, or as it is called today, democratic socialism. I know that I was. Today, without the benefit of experiencing the horrors of real socialism, the young are more inclined to embrace its philosophy, but they do not realise the harm that will be done to a country's economy if these policies are implemented. This is enhanced by the left-wing government and their mates in the education system with their indoctrination of our kids today. Today in New Zealand we have a very left-leaning government led by a socialist leader and backed up by the far-left Greens. They believe that they know best how you should live your life, and they are going to achieve their aims whether you like it or not. The principal ideology behind their extremism is the false claim that we must reduce our dependence on fossil fuels to save the planet from catastrophic global warming. This whole scenario is false, as I will explain in a later video. The whole global warming CO2 plot is simply socialism in disguise. The originators of the scam want global government along socialist lines and have used this so-called climate emergency as a reason behind their agenda. One last example of socialism at work. I heard a story about a father talking to his daughter, a university student. She, being young and therefore socialist-leaning, thought her father, who was financially well off, should be paying more tax to allow the government to redistribute it. He asked, "How was her study going?" Her reply, "Oh, all is good, but it is a lot of work. I'm studying all the time, don't have time to party, and basically have little time to do anything but work." Dad then asked about her grades. "All good, mostly A's but some B's. I'm in the top 10% of students." Dad then asked about her best friend. "How is she doing?" "Oh, she is partying most weekends and only does just enough to pass. Grades are C at best." "Well, shouldn't you give her some of your superior grades so that your outcomes are more equal?" "What? That is ridiculous. I have worked hard and deserved my grades." Welcome to the real world. Well, that is the end of this video. Please like and share, and if you wish to subscribe, use the appropriate buttons. If you would like to comment, feel free. It is good to have a two-way conversation. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.